I never thought I'd be the guy to get blindsided like this, but here I am, writing this down because I need to get it out of my head. My name's Jake and my wife's name is Emily. We'd been together for about 5 years, engaged for almost 2. Everything seemed perfect, or at least that's what I told myself. She was beautiful, ambitious, a little bitchy sometimes, okay, maybe more than sometimes, but she was mine. Or so I thought. Looking back now, there were little signs that I just brushed off. Emily had been acting strangely distant lately, more secretive with her phone, disappearing into the bathroom for ages when we were out with friends, and avoiding my touch. She'd always been a bit of a bitch about her phone, but I figured it was just her paranoia, or maybe she was just tired of me. We had our fights, sure, but I never thought she'd cheat. Not in a million years. Still, I remember that feeling creeping in, like a little voice at the back of my mind whispering that something was off. It started a few weeks ago. She'd come home late, smelling of perfume I didn't recognize, hair slightly disheveled, and her stories about where she'd been didn't add up. I'd ask her and she'd brush me off, call me insecure, say I was just imagining things. She'd laugh a little too sharp and tell me I was paranoid. But I could feel it. Something was wrong. Then came the night I found the evidence. It was our anniversary, a big deal for us. I had planned everything, reservations at her favorite restaurant, a little gift I bought her that I knew she'd love. I wanted everything to be perfect to show her how much she meant to me. We got dressed up, went out, and had a good time, at least I thought so. But as we sat in the restaurant waiting for our food, I saw her phone buzz. A message came through and I caught a glimpse of the screen. It was from a number I didn't recognize, and the message was just one word: "Can't wait." At first I thought it was some joke. Maybe a friend had sent her a funny meme or something. But then I saw she quickly locked her phone and her cheeks flushed. She looked nervous, more nervous than I'd ever seen her. That little prickling sensation returned. I decided to check her phone when she wasn't looking, just to see what she was hiding. I didn't think much of it at first, just a quick glance to put my mind at ease. What I found made my stomach drop. There were dozens of texts, flirty, suggestive, even downright explicit. She'd been talking to someone I thought was just a friend, a guy named Mark. The messages weren't just innocent. They were about fuck plans, meeting up, talking about sex, about how they couldn't wait to see each other again. My heart started pounding. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I stared at the screen, trying to process what I was seeing, and I felt a cold rage simmering just beneath my skin. I couldn't believe she'd been lying to me all this time, hiding this side of herself, betraying me on the night I thought was supposed to be about us. I put her phone back, trying to keep my composure, but inside I was raging. I was furious, and I was hurt. I wanted to confront her right then, but I knew I needed to. I needed a plan, because I wasn't going to be some fool who got played like this. Not by her, not by anyone. I'd been blind for so long, but there was no denying it now. Emily had been lying about everything: her fidelity, her honesty, her love. I could feel everything crashing down around me. The trust I'd built, the future I'd imagined, all of it was gone in one damn night. I stayed quiet for the rest of the night after I saw those messages. I couldn't sleep, my mind spinning with 1,000 thoughts. I kept going over every sign I'd ignored, every little lie she'd told, every moment where I'd brushed off her odd behavior. Now I saw how all of it fit together. She'd been cheating on me with Mark, our supposed friend. The guy I'd introduced to her, the guy she'd trusted, the one she'd always said was just a mate. Turns out she was lying about that too. The next morning I knew I had to face her. I woke up feeling sick, a mix of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak swirling inside me. I didn't want to wake her up right away. I needed to think how to handle this, what to say, what I wanted to do. I sat there staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything. That's when I saw her stir. She looked at me with her usual snarky smirk, but I saw right through it now. "Morning," she said, stretching and brushing her hair back. "Did you sleep okay?" I looked at her. She was so nonchalant, like she didn't have a care in the world, like she hadn't just betrayed me in the worst way possible. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. "Yeah, I slept fine," I said. "Listen, Emily, we need to talk about last night." She rolled her eyes. "What's there to talk about? I told you I was out with the girls. You're just being paranoid again." I felt my fists clench. No, you weren't out with the girls. I saw your messages. I saw what you've been doing with Mark. Her face froze for a moment. Then she scoffed, her tone getting defensive. Oh, come on, Jake. You're being dramatic. Those texts don't mean anything. We're just friends, I swear. Sometimes people flirt, so what? It does. Mean I want to cheat. You're overreacting as usual. That's when I lost it. That's when I realized I couldn't just keep pretending or pretending that her lies didn't hurt. I told her I knew everything and I watched her try to lie her way out of it. She kept insisting she was innocent, that Mark was just a friend, that I was just jealous. She spun stories about how I'd always been insecure, how I was imagining things, how she loved me and would never cheat. But I knew better. I saw her face. I saw the truth in her eyes, and I knew she was lying. It was then that I felt the full weight of what she did. She betrayed me on my anniversary with someone I trusted. I thought about all those times I looked the other way, dismissed her little secrets, told myself she was just stressed or busy. But the truth was, she'd been lying from the start. She'd been sneaking around, sleeping with our friend, and had the nerve to deny it even as I held her phone in my hand. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. My stomach turned every time I thought about her in bed with Mark, the way her body moved, the lies she told, the way she looked at him like she actually cared. I remember feeling this overwhelming mix of rage and sadness. It was like a switch had been flipped inside me. The betrayal wasn't just about the sex. It was about how she lied, how she played me, how she twisted everything. I'd loved her, but now all I could see was that she was a manipulative, selfish woman who'd use me and then toss me aside. I knew I had to do something. I had to decide whether to confront her further, cut my losses, or maybe even fight for myself. But right then, I just stood there, staring at her, feeling completely stripped of everything I thought I knew about her. I felt so lost and angry, and I realized there was no way I could just keep pretending like this didn't change everything. After that confrontation, the whole day felt like a blur. I couldn't focus on anything except how deeply I'd been betrayed. Every little detail about our relationship seemed meaningless now. I kept replaying the scene in my head, her dismissive tone, her lies, her smirk when she thought she could get away with it. The woman I thought I knew was gone. What was left was a stranger who had been sleeping with my best friend, Mark, behind my back. I knew I needed to get some space, a clear head. I told her I was leaving for a walk, and I didn't go home immediately. I just drove around, trying to find a way to make sense of what I'd uncovered. Every mile I drove, my mind raced with rage, heartbreak, and a burning desire for revenge. I kept asking myself, how could she do this? How could she lie so effortlessly? And most of all, what the hell am I supposed to do now? By the time I returned home, I had a plan forming. I wasn't just going to storm out and leave her standing there, crying her fake tears. No, I wanted to make her regret ever crossing me. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some fool she could play with. I decided I'd find my own way to punish her, to make her feel as small as I felt. At that moment, I didn't want to just divorce her. No, I wanted to ruin her, make her regret every lie, every betrayal. There was no point talking to her anymore. She'd already lied her way through our relationship, so I wasn't expecting honesty from her now. Instead, I started gathering evidence, screenshots of the messages, her phone records, anything that could help me hurt her back if I needed to. I wanted her to see that I wasn't just some naive guy who got cheated on. I was someone who could fight fire with fire. Over the next few days, I focused on digging up everything I could. I tracked her online activities, looked into her social media, and even talked to some mutual friends to see if they knew anything. It was all about building my arsenal. I wasn't going to just walk away and be the bigger person. No, I wanted her to see what she lost, what she threw away, and the pain she caused me. Throughout this process, I felt the emotional roller coaster. I was angry, yes, but I was also devastated. Every time I saw her face, I felt a pang of sadness. I'd loved her, I'd trusted her, I'd imagined our future. Now it all felt like a cruel joke. The woman I thought I knew was nothing but a liar and a cheat. I kept asking myself why she'd do this, why she'd betray me so openly, so shamelessly. But deep down, I knew I'd never get an answer that made sense. I also started to think about how I'd confront her again. It was clear she wasn't going to come clean on her own. I'd have to give her an ultimatum, cut Mark out of her life, or lose me forever. And if she refused, well, I had plans. Plans to make her regret all those lies, to show her that she couldn't just cheat and lie her way out of this without consequences. I was already brewing my revenge, and I knew it was going to be messy. The only thing I wasn't prepared for was how much it would hurt me to do it. The days that followed felt like I was walking through a fog. I was constantly on edge, every sound, every message feeling like a trigger. I kept replaying our last conversation, her dismissiveness, her lies, and that stupid look on her face. I had made up my mind. I wasn't going to let her get away with this without paying, but I also knew I needed to be smart about it. Revenge wasn't just about causing pain. It was about making her understand she'd lost something real, something she took for granted. I started by contacting Mark. I needed to hear from him directly to get some clarity, though I already knew what I'd find. I messaged him under a false identity, pretending to be someone interested in buying what he was selling. His response was quick and cocky, like he didn't think I was a threat. I played along, pretending to be interested in meeting up, and then I arranged to meet him at a bar downtown. I wanted to confront him face to face, to look him in the eyes and remind him that this was a betrayal not just of me but of our friendship. The night I met Mark, I felt adrenaline pounding through my veins. He looked relaxed, confident, probably used to women falling for his charm. When I sat across from him, I didn't bother with small talk. I got straight to the point. "So," I said coolly, "I know what you've been doing with my wife, and I just want you to know I'm not going to let this slide." His eyes widened for a moment, then he smirked. "Relax, man, it's just sex. No big deal, she's all yours if you even want her anymore after this." That was the moment I realized how much disdain he had for me, how little he thought of any consequences. I told him I wasn't there to fight him, but I wanted him to understand something. This wasn't just about sex. It was about respect, and he had crossed a line. I made damn sure he knew I had evidence of their affair. I pulled out my phone, showed him the screenshots of the texts, the pictures she'd sent him, and the times I'd caught her sneaking around. Watching his face change from cocky to nervous was satisfying, even if it didn't heal the wound. I told him I'd be watching, that he'd regret ever messing with my wife, and that if he ever tried to contact her again, I'd make sure he paid. That confrontation was a turning point. I felt a strange mix of victory and emptiness at the same time, but I knew it wasn't over. I needed to do something about Emily herself. I couldn't keep going like this, pretending everything was fine when I was constantly holding my breath, waiting for the next lie or betrayal to surface. I had to take control, so I planned my next move carefully. I decided I'd give her an ultimatum: come clean and end it with Mark, or I'd expose everything to everyone. I wanted her to feel the full weight of what she'd done, to see how her lies had shattered our life. I started writing a detailed letter. Every lie, every betrayal, every secret I'd uncovered. I knew I'd have to confront her face to face, but I wanted to be sure she understood the damage she'd caused. I also knew, deep down, that I was preparing myself for the worst. I wasn't just fighting for my marriage anymore. I was fighting to save whatever shred of dignity I had left. The day I finally decided to confront Emily again, I felt like I was walking into a war zone. I had everything laid out: my evidence, the letter, the plan. I knew there was no going back. Once I said my piece, I wanted her to see that I wasn't some naive fool anymore. I was a man who'd been hurt, betrayed, and now ready to fight back. She was in the living room when I came home. Her face lit up with her usual bitchy smirk, but I saw the flicker of fear behind her eyes. It was almost satisfying to see her try to keep her composure, to pretend she wasn't trembling inside. I didn't waste time. I pulled out the letter and handed it to her, watching her read every word, every lie, every betrayal, every time she'd been with Mark behind my back. Her reaction was priceless. She tried to deny everything at first, calling me crazy, saying I was paranoid, just like she'd done before. But I cut her off. I told her I wasn't interested in her lies anymore, that she'd lost the right to play the victim. I told her I knew about Mark, about all the times she'd sneaked around, about her fake tears and her bullshit stories. I told her I was done pretending, that I was going to do something she'd never see coming. her face contorted with anger and frustration. "You're overreacting, Jake. You always blow things out of proportion. It's just sex, that's all. It doesn't mean anything. You're just jealous that I still have a life outside of you." I shook my head. "That's bullshit. You've been lying to me this whole time. You've been sleeping with Mark and I caught you. That's the only reason you're so damn defensive. You're a liar and a cheat, Emily, and I'm not going to let you get away with it anymore." My voice was steady but firm, like I'd finally found my edge. She looked at me, eyes blazing with fury. "You think you're some hero now. You've always been insecure. You're just mad I still have a life. You're jealous I don't want to be your little obedient wife anymore." Her words hit like a punch, but I didn't flinch. I realized that trying to reason with her was pointless. The only thing left was to show her I was serious. I told her I was leaving for good, that I'd take everything, my dignity, my respect, and walk away. I explained I was going to start divorce proceedings, and I was going to make sure she paid for what she'd done. I wanted her to see that her betrayal had consequences, that she couldn't just lie her way out of this. As I packed my things that evening, I felt a strange sense of relief mixed with heartbreak. I had fought back, I'd taken control, but inside I was shattered. I loved her once, and now I was walking away from everything we had built. I still couldn't believe she'd do this to us. It was like the ground had shifted beneath my feet, and I was trying not to fall. But I knew one thing for sure: she'd regret ever crossing me, and I'd make sure of that. The aftermath hit me harder than I expected. I moved out a week after the confrontation, leaving behind the home I'd shared with Emily, knowing I'd never be able to see that place the same way again. I filed for divorce, and the process was as messy as I'd imagined. She fought, lied, tried to twist everything around, but I had enough proof to shut her down. It was a long, draining legal battle, but I held my ground. I knew I had to, for my own sanity, for my dignity. What's been the strangest part is how much I've learned from this nightmare. Betrayal cuts deep, more than I thought possible, and it takes a while to even start to heal. At first I was angry all the time. I was furious with her, with Mark, with myself for ever trusting her. But over time, I realized that I needed to focus on rebuilding myself. I started therapy, took up some new hobbies, and reconnected with friends who supported me through the mess. Looking back, I see how blind I was. I ignored all the little signs, convinced that Emily loved me, that she'd never hurt me. But love doesn't mean ignoring red flags or dismissing your gut instincts. If anything, it's about respecting yourself enough to walk away from someone who hurts you repeatedly. I don't regret loving her, but I do regret not noticing sooner how selfish and manipulative she was. As for Emily, I hear she's moved out of town now. I don't care much about her anymore. I just hope she finally realizes what she lost, though honestly, I doubt it. She's the kind of person who thinks she's smarter than everyone else, that she can lie her way out of everything. But I know one thing: I'm better off without her. I've learned that sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself again. If I could give anyone advice, it would be this: trust your instincts. Don't ignore the signs. And if you're ever betrayed like this, remember, you're stronger than you think. You don't need someone who lies and manipulates to be happy. You just need to find the strength to walk away and rebuild from the ashes. That's what I'm doing now. And honestly, it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but it's also the best decision I ever made.